Alrighty, here we are back in the shop. We're going to be working today on part 2 of video series on building rattle floats. If you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go watch part 1 of this. It's going to be titled something like Rattle Floats Part 1. And in that video, we explain the different materials that we use, where we get them from, why we use them, and how we put it all together. So, like I said, I encourage you to go back and watch that one. In today's video, we're going to be building, well, let me show you first what we did in the first one. This is a standard 4-inch rattle float built onto a 0.051 stainless steel shaft. We put the loops in there, put the plastic and the metal beads. This one has a 3/4 ounce lead weight on it, barrel swivel, monofilament leader, and a 2/0 hook. We built that whole setup for less than $2. That's about half price, or maybe a little less than what you pay for it in the store. Today's build, what we're going to do, we're going to use a 2.5-inch oval float on stainless steel nylon coated flex leader, and we're going to show you just a little bit of difference about that one. And also, we're going to be building on a 4-inch standard popping blank. We're going to build onto that in the same manner that we built this one here, the same setup without a weight, and instead we're going to be using a silver spoon on there, below a little bit lower on the setup, and this serves as a weight and it serves as an attractant, which this here is a Castmaster style, a little bit heavier. So 2 different weights, 2 different styles of spoons, serve the same purpose though. A buddy of mine showed me that setup. I'm going to try it. We're going to build some today. Well, I'm fixing to go fishing in about a week, so we're going to give them a test and see how they work. It's a good setup for fishing some shell reefs, for fishing over some hard sand, and like I said, good natural attractant. So we're going to build those today. Hope you stay tuned. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you find something in here that works for you. So we're going to go ahead and switch cameras now. I'm going to mount one to my head so you can see a little bit better of what we're doing. So let's go ahead and get this project started. Y'all stay tuned. Alrighty, here we are today, and we're on the second part of our build, second part of our series on here. The first thing you've seen us do was build the 4-inch rattling float. Today we're going to build a 2.5-inch rattling float on a steel cable, steel leader, and we're also going to build another one on a 4-inch float with the silver spoon as our weight on there. So for today's project, we're going to need, I have one already out of the package here. These are the floats I use direct from Comal Float Company in Buda, Texas. Going to get a 2.5-inch float, and I'm going to use 45-pound leader on that. So for that, what you want to do is you want to start out probably 12 to 14 inches of this. This is Berkeley that I'm using, of this nylon coated steel cable. That's the first step. We will need some sleeves on this, crimp sleeves, to hold this assembly together, and it'll take a couple on each one. Well, I got plenty of them out of there. So what we'll do is we'll, you don't even have to slide that in first. This one here will have a swivel on the end to put a sleeve in there. Y'all got to bear with me sometimes on some of this because my eyes will not focus that well. Put a swivel on there, and we'll make a loop. We'll pull it tight. This is just a standard crimp swivel on here. I use, instead of the crimping tool you can buy, I use these. You can get them any hardware store. They're a whole lot cheaper than the crimping tool. I use right there. Let me see if I can find something to point with. I'll use one of these wire shafts. I use this one right here, the little square one that says 22 to 18 to crimp these with. I put a double crimp on each end of that sleeve. Put a good tight grip on it so they don't pull loose whenever you're battling your big fish. Start out with that. Just as I showed you in the earlier video, we're going to put yellow bead. I'm going to use 6mm beads on both ends of this one. A steel bead, a red bead, and then we'll put our float. Put the float on there. We have like that. We'll go back with the red bead. We'll put the steel bead. Missed the hole on that one. Steel bead and the yellow bead. And on this one, we're going to put, I gotta go dig in my bucket over here. we're going to put a 1/4 ounce weight on this one. So I have the 1/4 ounce weight. And you know what? That's not quarter. That's a 1/2 ounce weight. And I don't want to put a weight that size on it. Let me see if I have a 1/4 ounce in here. I think these might be here. These are 1/4 ounce steel weights. Put one of those on there. That way we don't have too much weight on there. And then on the other end, we'll simply put another sleeve. Got to put the sleeve before the swivel. Another sleeve. The swivel. And another loop. I want to make sure I don't have this thing too long. No, that's about the right length. And we'll get our handy dandy crimper. These are electrical crimping pliers. You can get them at Harbor Freight. I'll promote Harbor Freight for you. I had an old man tell me one time you can get anything you want from Harbor Freight except pacemakers and parachutes. He said don't trust them from there. And there we have it. Pretty simple, pretty quick build. The hardest part about building all these things is getting all your materials together and getting them all ordered and getting them in. This project here, you can also build that one on a rigid stainless steel shaft if you wanted to. I prefer on these floats like this, on this setup. And again, this is for fishing any kind of lure, any kind of bait. A lot of people use these, and I've seen them even shorter than this. They'll build them only about that long right there, total length of about 8 inches. And that's fine. And I do build some that way. I carry them that way. I use the yellow ones. Usually what I'll do is I'll use the orange ones for the long ones and the yellow ones for the short ones, so I know the difference in when I grab one, what I'm getting and what I'm using. So you can use you can fish your artificials underneath there. You can fish your live baits underneath those, whatever you want to put on there. So that's a pretty simple build right there. Very effective, very cost effective. 60 cents. You're probably looking at a total build on this of way less than $1 by the time you figure all the materials in. And I'm sure that whole setup right there sells for at least $3 whenever we go buy that in one of your stores, sporting goods stores. So that's that one. The next build I'm going to do is something a little bit different, and this one you might find kind of interesting. We're going to build this one on a 4-inch popping cork float, and we're going to use the .051 shaft, stainless steel shaft on there. And so using that shaft, we got to go, and we're going to build this one just like we built the other rattle float, but we're going to build it without a weight. In the first video of this series, we built this one with a 3/4 ounce weight. We're going to build our loop. Again, grab it with the pliers, the needle nose, bend it with the side cutters. Make sure you get your bend all the way around, get it tight, get it snug, make it look pretty. Then we're going to build our loop around there. Like I said earlier, they're rigid. They're sometimes hard to build on, and it'll take some practice. There, we got that one bent. We got our D-ring shaped bend in it. Clip it off. Don't forget to grind that off of there later. Okay, we're going to put my color preference, the yellow. There's no scientific reason behind these color preferences either. That bead was not good. Occasionally you'll run across that one that's got the hole clogged up. Yellow bead, stainless steel 6mm bead. Red bead. We'll put our float on there. All right, got the float. We can go back to the beads. Red bead or orange, whatever color you want to call that. Orange, 8mm, and a yellow bead. There we have. That yellow bead is tight. I told you about those earlier. Make sure they slide good. We're not going to use it. That one slid good. And there we have our rattle. Now, this one's not going to utilize a weight, so that's all we're going to put on this shaft, and except for the swivel. Put that swivel on there. Get our needle nose. Grab it. And I'm going to go a little bit shorter on this one because we'll have a weight on it. We don't need that much room. And make our bend on it. Our first wrap. And pull it tight. I got a big loop on that one. I don't like those loops that big. All right, pull it. Can't get a bind on it. Well, this one's giving me heck. There, finally. A little bit bigger ring than I like on there, but it really doesn't make a difference. We're going to cut it off. Grind that off later. There, now we have our float built. Now the next step of this, what we're going to do is we're going to put onto here, and I'm going to use a piece of steel leader to start on this one, 45-pound leader. And on these here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two different types of spoons. Make two different ones. I buy these on eBay. I buy them in a lot of 12 usually. I took the hooks off of them because they're cheap made hooks. I'm sure these were made in China. I did buy them from a US distributor though. This one here is your standard spoon. I think this, if I weighed these out before, this is like a 3/8 ounce total weight on this spoon here. It's real light. This one here, I believe, is 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce. A little bit more weight on this Castmaster style spoon. I took the hooks off of them. I left the rings. What we're going to do on here, we're going to use this as an attractant, and it's going to be located below the floating cork, between the cork or your float. I keep calling them corks. That's my old age showing. They're going to go between the float and your hook. Now the gentleman that fishes these, that showed me about it, told me about it, this is all he'll use. He uses these especially when he's fishing 3, 4 foot, 5 foot reefs, shell reef, for trout. And they're using these as an attractant, these silver, these floats on here. I'm going to trim that one up there just a little bit. Got a little bit long on there. And they're using it as an attractant on there to attract the fish to that flash. And he tells me that them fish will actually hit that spoon sometimes. But he swears by this. And it's a good setup, good rig. I'm going to have some video in the near future of us fishing these rigs. We're going to be down on the lower end of Matagorda Island in the next little while. That might be a little long on that. Might have been better to be a little bit shorter. Underneath there, we probably have, by the time you float that, we're about a foot underwater. So I guess that's not too bad. Now underneath here, what we're going to put is I'm going to use monofilament on this one, the 40-pound mono line. And we're going to go about another, what did I cut off there, 14, 16 inches. Then we're going to go, I'm going to tie this into the ring on the spoon. Give it about 3 or 4 good twists on there. Fisherman's knot. You lost sight of that because I pull it with my teeth. Dennis says don't do that, but I ain't seen him in a while, so he ain't gonna have much to say about it. So we have that on there, and then we'll put our hook. But before we put the hook, I'll show you something else we add to it. I'll take a piece of, this is silicone tubing, and I don't have a cutting tool here with me. Okay, now I'm back and I got my cutting tool. I went and got me a razor blade. I'm going to take a little piece of this, about that size. I'm going to trim this other end up, shape it up flat. Well, I didn't get very flat on that. Just a small piece of that. We'll put this on the string first. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in just a minute. That's just another attractant, essentially. I'm going to go rig this with the 2/0. Now the gentleman that showed me this, he uses treble hooks. And that's his preference. That may be your preference if that's something you want to do. Take enough length out of that. Another fisherman's knot on the hook. I'll be fishing these with live shrimp. That's what these rigs will be used for. Fisherman's knot. Pull it tight. With my teeth again. Clean it up. And then what we're going to do with that piece of silicone we had is we're going to run that down here to the bottom. We're going to slide that right over that shaft. And that's what we have there. I don't know if I can get all of that in one picture. Move this out of the way. Clean up my table a little bit. This is what we have here. We have 4-inch rattle float, steel leader, a silver spoon. This one has holographic design on it, a sticker. We have monofilament line to the hook, and we have this little piece of red on there for an attractant. Red silicone. The gentleman that told me about this swears by it. We're going to go give them a whirl, give them a try. I thought I'd share that with you. And next time that I'm out fishing with these, I'm going to be darn sure and get some video on there and let you know how this worked out for us. Hopefully you'll see that video also. There's a second variation you can use, a little bit heavier weight. That 4-inch float will support this Castmaster style spoon on there. You can use either one of those. But I understand that the gentleman told me, he said by the end of the day, these stickers they put on these things, them trout to hit that spoon. If you get in a good school of trout or on a good location of trout, they'll have them spoons and stickers tore up on them spoons. So there it is. That's a different variation of using a rattle float, just a different way to set it up. I'm going to give them a whirl. I'm going to build me about 4 or 5 more of those, so I got plenty of them when I go. And the good thing about building your own stuff, making your own supplies, buying your own supplies, making your own equipment, you can take this stuff and rebuild it. If the hook got bad, if the spoon was torn up, like I said, I buy these spoons I buy them bulk. I've got 3 different styles right now that I have at home with me. This one here is just a Castmaster style with a holographic deal on it. It's also, I think, a 1/2 ounce or 3 ounce weight. Just different ones. You can rebuild them, redo them. You get a cork that's been torn up, rattled up, rolled around in the tackle box a lot. The shaft gets bent. All you got to do is clip that shaft, put everything back on it, and you're right back in business, just like you was when you started. So you can repaint them. So there it is. 3 different, if you watch both videos, you got 3 different styles that we've built, 3 different setups. Very, very reasonable in price. Even on this Castmaster or this spoon style here, I still have less than $2.50 invested in this whole setup. So I'm sure that if you bought a rig like this, if somebody rigged it out and you bought it in the store, and sporting goods store, you're probably going to pay the better part of $8 or $9 for a rig like that. That would be my guess on that. So there you have it. If you have any ideas, concerns, any questions about it, please comment below. Well, I want to thank you for watching. That's a 2-part series on our rattle float builds that we did. We're going to be fishing next week. Hopefully we'll get some videos posted of us actually using some of these products. And if you have any questions, any comments, negative or positive, I'll answer both. I'm good for criticism. I can always help myself in improving what I'm doing. So let me know. Just comment below. We'll get back with you. I want to thank you for watching, and God bless.